Hello, this is Simracing Corner. Welcome to the channel. We're back with another 80/20 build project. I had a request to do a SimLab P1 style build, and I thought I could give that a crack, and then I had a great idea to incorporate support for the next level V3 motion platform at the same time. The build I have to show you today works equally well with or without the motion platform mounted. The design has an interchangeable configuration, and I'll show you how that works in the video. What inspired me about integrating the motion platform compatibility with this cockpit design is it's become quite a popular combination with the SimLab P1, but it's not without its challenges getting it mounted, and owners need to find a creative way to lower the platform within the base area and connect it to the sides. It's not a straightforward modification, but the solution is a really simple tweak to the existing SimLab design. I've widened the chassis by 4.4 centimeters, so not much, but this allows us to use standard 40/40 profile as effective rails for the next level motion platform to attach to. And I'll demonstrate how that works when we drop into MAY-CAD next. We'll also take a look at the design in VR in the final segment of the video. Personally, I do own a next level V3 motion platform that's attached to my SimLab GT1 cockpit, so it's a different mounting setup. However, by having one to hand, I'm able to make accurate measurements for this build to ensure it's a real working design for this project. The total cost for this build is £447 shipped to the UK. The SimLab P1 costs €733 shipped, which is £643. That's £196 less with this DIY build, which is a 30% saving. As usual, check the video description for download links for the project files and build list. Okay, so that concludes this introduction, and we'll head over to MAY-CAD and check it out more closely. Right then, so we have some models loaded, so I'll tell you what's going on here because there's obviously quite a lot going on. Over here, that's the SimLab GT1 build, and that's the SRC signature build. So these are featured in previous videos, but I just like to have them on board when I'm doing these builds just to see how it all looks against anything new I'm making, to make sure it all looks consistent. So yeah, so you can ignore them, but it's just there just as a reference point for me. And these are just the kind of the area, the footprint area that I've kind of marked out for each of the builds. Just so again, it's just a useful reference point. So over here, these are the P1s. So we've got two versions of it. I said in the intro that we're using exactly the same parts for using a Seq configuration or the next level V3 configuration. So I'm going to show you how that works, and we'll move over to the P1 standard Seq configuration first. But first off, I'll tell you about what I've done with the sizes. So everything is the same as the SimLab GT1, P1, sorry. So the height's the same, length is the same, that's the same, that's the same, the seat posts are the same. The only difference is obviously we don't have the custom parts, so we've had to use just aluminium profile parts for our wheel and pedal areas. But it's the width. I said it was slightly wider, and I'll show you what I've done. So it's 44 millimeters to be exact, so 4.4 centimeters wider than the SimLab kind of edition. And so this is the SimLab edition. This is if you were to get this one. So that's this one, the original one. So that's the footprint of this design. And if we put it over the top, we can just see how much bigger it is. So we can see it's the same length, and you can see it's just a negligible kind of width here. So it's not a lot. And in fact, if we look at the this one over here, which is the SimLab one, the SimLab GT1 design, if we put that over there, you can see that's actually wider than this build by a little bit as well. So yeah, the P1's actually quite a narrow build, so it's quite yeah, they kind of narrowed it over their previous designs. But yeah, that's all fine. But yeah, it just shows you it's not like extra wide. It's not really a big deal there. And yeah, so the seat goes on there. Seat rails as normal, no problem. Okay, so we'll take a look at the both of them in view now, and you can see the difference here is there's no seat rails on the top, and you can see this piece of profile is in a different position, and that's how we get the next level V3 configuration. So what happens is that moves forward from there, and these rails go on the inside, and the only difference in the design is 2 more connectors. Oh, yeah, in total, so 1 on each side, because those connectors are those, and they pop down underneath there. So we need 1 more. So 2. That's literally you're paying for 2 more connectors if you don't use that configuration. But you can always obviously take it off your order list. But there you go. That's how simple it is. It's just exactly the same profile parts, which makes it quite an elegant little solution here. I modelled this on the next level V3, so it's kind of like it's the right size. I mean, it looks kind of resembles it reasonably well, considering I just kind of put it together out of parts. And on the side, on the V3, I mean, those are a little bit misaligned because it goes a bit strange when I move this around. Yeah, it kind of goes a bit odd, but it's okay. On the side, there's 3 M8 holes, and we're just using standard brackets that we've used elsewhere to plug into there, and we're going to lower it onto the rails here. So if I bring it forward, and lower it into place. Don't want to play ball. Come on. Okay, that's about right. Yeah, that's fine. So you can see if we take a profile look on here, you can just see how low it's in, how it's lowered in. And if we look underneath, you can see there's a nice gap. Whoops, let's find out. Yeah. So there you go. Right, yeah, there's a gap. Oh god. Right, okay. Well, you have to take my word for it. It's kind of an odd angle there, but yeah, there you can see it there. There's a nice gap there between the bottom and the floor, because you need the gap because of the grille and the fan intake. And it's now neatly kind of and successfully in those rails, so you can, you know, it slides along there quite easily. And the reason why I'll talk about that kind of that odd width here of being the 4.5 centimeters or 4.4 centimeters, it's because if I was going to make this an exact size for between there and there, and between this gap, the chances are it wouldn't fit. It would be a bit of too much of a tight squeeze. The tolerances aren't going to be always perfect. So I thought I'd give it just basically 2 millimeters on each side. So you have a little bit of wiggle room to just lower into the chassis, and it all works okay because of the these brackets. You can see they're basically slots. So you get a bit of wiggle room on the profile, although you can't really. It's kind of colours a bit. Let's change that back to default. Okay, that's better. Right, and you can see the channel, and you can see if we put a bolt down into here, you get a bit of wiggle room, and we got a bit of wiggle room here. So that's why the size is as it is. It's not a mistake. It's intentional to make this comfortably slide down into this gap. Okay, I think that kind of covers it in MAY-CAD. There's not much more to really show here. In the actual project file, I'll leave this in here. I'll leave this model in here so you can mess around with it yourself. And I'll take these two out just to avoid confusion. But I'll leave that in there, and I'll leave both these models in here. and I'll just clean up a little bit the scene so it makes more sense to you. But there you go, so that's the design. So we'll head over to VR now and we'll check it out at life-size scale. Okay, hello again. So we're in VR. I have everything loaded up and we have our two models. So we have over there, we have our next level V3 edition, and there it's just a seat mounted configuration. And let's have a quick look around so you can just see how they look with some bits of gear attached to it. And a nice triple monitor mount and screens, just so you can see how it would work with a monitor stand. We'll start over with this one, which is just a standard seat on there. And one thing you might would be a concern if you're kind of thinking about this sort of design is because the pedal area isn't adjustable in height, whether or not there would be the pedals would be in a comfortable position. And just looking at it, I can see they are absolutely fine. This is very close to how my pedals are aligned to my seats. And it's kind of GT sort of setting, and it's very comfortable. It's great with using flat face pedals, you know, so something like the HE Pros or PT1s, I think they're called. But anything, you know, high-end pedals with a flat face, vertical face, then you'll absolutely be perfectly fine. So of course, yeah, you wouldn't be able to use like G27s or some of the Thrustmaster pedals using this type of base. You'd have to find a way to tilt them. But honestly, if you're going to be using this sort of rig, then I can imagine you'll be using more high-end gear, to be fair. Over to the next level, V3 mounted one. One thing that you will observe is the seat does ride higher. And there's nothing you can do about that. We've dropped it in as far as we can, but it still just raises it a bit more. But that said, it's still the pedals are still in an okay position, so it's okay. It's not too bad. But one of the things you'd probably be more concerned about really is the actual height of the steering wheel. Is the height of the steering wheel going to be high enough and not down in your lap? Because when you raise it up, then obviously this comes down. And I can see from here it's absolutely fine. There's absolutely no problems here. In fact, I kind of sat in earlier and I put my chair in there and I kind of just played around just to see how it looked around me. And I could tell, you know, sitting in it, a bit high I suppose, is this is actually, they actually rides quite high. It's actually higher. Your wheel actually rode higher than the original P1, although this height of this profile, this 4120 here, is the same height, which is 850 millimeters. The actual P1, if you look how they have their custom mounting wheelbase mount, it kind of puts, if I can grab this, if I don't want to grab everything, I just want to grab the wheel. Can I grab the wheel? Excuse me. It's quite hard to. Okay, come on. Okay, it's more like that because the way the actual mounting. If you look on their website, you can see how it kind of comes out here, goes out there, and then your actual motor is mounted more down here. So that kind of pushes it down a bit more. So using this alternative mounting method for the wheel does actually raise it a bit higher, but of course we can just lower this profile down the middle, and that would work fine. Or the alternative is to actually get this ordered and cut down by, I guess, a couple of inches, and that would kind of lower it down and put it in a kind of more, if you just want it more squared off and more tidier. But either way, there's actually, using the next level with this with this P1 style is fine. Everything will be in a good position. You won't actually have a problem with anything kind of being in a position you won't feel comfortable with. So that's good news. And of course, even on this one, it's even because the seat runs lower. This would even go kind of down to here. But again, it doesn't really matter. At least you know it's going to be safe. It's a safe build. And it's kind of an elegant build. I do like it because we're using, compared to the GT1 style with the more elaborate pedal deck, this is quite nice. It is easy to build. There's fewer parts. There's less complications. It's easier to move the pedals back and forward because you just move these two profiles. Yeah, easy build. One thing I did want to mention though is the cost of the build, and a lot of it goes into the base. So that's 4160, and that's 4 times as much as 4040, basically, and it's double the price of 4080 because it basically goes up in price relative to what 4040 is. So it's 4 times larger. So it's 4 times. It's 4 times as much. So it's very easy to work it out. And for the next level build, you kind of need it because of the pedals, because we can't lift the pedals. We need to lower it as far as we can. So you kind of need the 160 for that, really, so we can lower it down into the middle. It's not really necessary for this one. You could use 4080, and you're effectively halving the cost of the base. And those long parts, they were £60 each, so that's £120 just for that base, and I didn't even include the middle bit, so that doesn't include the middle bit. If you halve the cost of that, you're saving £80, right? Oh no, so £60, right? Yeah, and if you added the middle into it, and that would be another, I guess, £15 savings. So you're kind of looking in the region of £70 less on the build. 70, 75, maybe close to 80. But that puts I think it was 477 for this build. It would put it down to about 350 if you just used 4080 on the base. So 4080 is this profile here. And that would be perfectly sufficient. The actual reason why this P1 is using that kind of profile really is to raise the whole thing up so it's easier to get in and out, and also really for an aesthetic. It's an unnecessary aesthetic because it doesn't actually add any more rigidity to the actual stability of the base. 4080 is absolutely perfectly fine. So you could change the build and reduce the cost of it and have a 350 build if you weren't going to be going with the next level type of configuration, which makes it quite interesting. And if you thought it was a bit too low, you could always just raise it up. You can use feet on this anyway, or wheels, so that raises it up. Or you can, another easy way would be to use legs made out of profile and just stick them, just have some short profile and have them up as legs to prop it up even higher. And that would obviously be cheaper than having this 4160. But yeah, I didn't want to do that in MAY-CAD and show these alternatives. For the reason is we're doing a P1 style build, so it had to be true to that one. But I wanted to mention that because this is more expensive than the GT1 build because it's just the base, and it makes it quite a lot more expensive than GT1 build. I can't remember how much the GT1 build was, but I think that GT1 build was in the region of about 350-ish anyway. So yeah, so it just shows you how much more the build is for a simpler design, but the base is incredibly expensive. So yeah, I just thought I'd throw that in there. And yeah, I don't think anything's more to show here really. I want to, I'll just kind of I'll just stare at it for a bit so you can just see it at different angles. Might be helpful, right? Yeah, nice. I like it. It's an elegant build. What do you reckon? Yeah, leave some comments, guys, if you like this. You know, tell me what you think in the comments. I'm always interested to hear what you have to say, and I always reply. And if you have any questions about the build or anything else, yeah, throw me a line. I'm happy to answer any questions. But yeah, but you know, successful build. I think looks good. Happy with that. Okay, so I'll head out and we'll do the outro now. Okay. That was the SimLab P1 style build, a very nice clean design and easy to build, and for next level V3 owners, an elegant mounting solution, I'm sure you'd agree. By prototyping the design in VR, I was able to visualise how the pedal position height would sit in relation to the seats. That's the only feature of the P1 I was unsure about, but having been able to get close to the build in VR, I have no further concerns. Certainly it's still a limitation of the design, but it's still a perfectly comfortable pedal position in my opinion. So job done. We'll wrap things up here. Thanks for watching. Hit the like if you found this video useful and consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. Happy simming, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye for now.